Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back here in a second with Mark Porter and Bill Kurelic. Hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, is recharged and refreshed. For those of you fortunate enough to be in or near the Gem City, today is the nicest day of the year, so enjoy that. You know what's also nice on a nice day of the year? Any day? Steak. With Father's Day right around the corner, what do you give the man who has everything? Easy. You give him an experience he'll never forget. You give him Omaha Steaks, because a world-class dad deserves a world-class steak. The Father's Day experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to put a smile on the big guy's face this summer with hand-selected gift packages starting at just $89. Just go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code BUCKNUTS at checkout for an additional discount when you shop gourmet gift packages for Father's Day. With Omaha Steaks, the possibilities are endless. Endless flavor, endless variety, and endless value. Truly, they have perfected more than steak, and your dad is guaranteed to love every bite. Pick from premium proteins like juicy pork chops, air-grilled chicken, and beefy burgers. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code BUCKNUTS to get an exclusive savings. Shop for unforgettable gifts that are guaranteed to make Dad's day. Because if there's one thing Omaha Steaks knows, it's that dads want steak. I think Dave told you this yesterday. Omaha Steaks was generous enough to send Dave and I a very large gift package, so we have been grilling out and enjoying it. Speaking of other all-world dads, they are here. Bill Kurelic and Mark Porter. Gentlemen, Bill, did you have a nice Memorial Day weekend?
I did, but I'm wondering where my Omaha steak package is.
Well, as I always say on the show, it's good to be king. And it was a surprise. But I will say, if you like Omaha Steaks and if you like steak, which pretty much everybody, they also sent hot dogs and chicken and burgers and stuff. So definitely
just rubbing
worth
it in, Dan.
What's that now?
Just rubbing
Mark,
it
this
in.
is called
Dan.
advertising. I'm just helping the man. There's a discount out there, but it's great. And they do a great job at Omaha Steaks. Everything taken care of for you. Speaking of a great job, guess who else does a great job? Your Ohio State football staff, when it comes to recruiting the talent that walks this earth. Bill, we're going to try and reset the recruiting calendar now. What is the staff doing? Who are they focused on? What class is here? Who's visiting? Bill, take it and run with it.
Well, we have the last week of May, so that means we're just about to official visit time.
Right.
That's the big one right now. The staff just got done being out on the road. They were all over the country recruiting class of 2025, 2026, 2027, and they even extended a couple very early offers to 2028 kids. But the main focus right now is getting ready for this weekend, really. Staff is back in Columbus, and May 31st, this Friday, starts official visits. Now, kids could take official visits before that, but Ohio State is starting their official visits this weekend, May 31st, through, of course, Sunday afternoon, June 2nd. And it'll be a very good group that'll be making official visits to Ohio State this weekend. You know, I looked at that list. There's 4 straight weekends of official visits for Ohio State. May 31st, then June 7th, then June 14th, and June 21st. And you could make a case for maybe June 21st, the last weekend, being the biggest. But really, if you look at the visit weekends, all of them have outstanding prospects and at least 1 or 2 really big time players that are coming into Ohio State. So it'll be very interesting. It really kicks off this Thursday in some ways, because Anthony Rogers, the Alabama running back commitment, he is making an unofficial visit to Ohio State. It's a 2-day Thursday, Friday visit. If it goes well, then he says he will schedule an official visit back to Ohio State during the season. He's not going to take any official visits this summer. He's committed to Alabama right now. He'll take his official visits that he takes during the season. And that leads into the unofficial visits and the camps. The other thing that's really going to rev things up recruiting wise is that the Ohio State camps start on June 5th. They go June 5th, June 6th, June 11th, June 13th, and June 17th. Those are all one-day camps. They also have team camp, competition 7-on-17 camp. So that will be big, and Mark and I will be at those camps covering with the goings on. You also have the high school 7-on-7s. Those are going on, and they will be going on this summer. A big one, for instance, is at Pickerington, June 13th. That'll be at 5 o'clock at Pickerington. Cincinnati Winton Woods will be there, Canton McKinley, of course, Pickerington North, and so on. So that'll be big, but those will be going on, the 7-on-7s. As I mentioned, there'll be unofficial visits. Kids sometimes don't camp, but they make unofficial visits to Ohio State. I mentioned Anthony Rogers. He's not camping with Ohio State, but he's doing an unofficial visit to Ohio State. So those will be going on this week, at the end of the week, and then June, all through the month of June. And then, like I mentioned in my article, it's payoff time, commitment time. A lot of commitments are going to be made in June, July, and August. And all those recruits that are making official visits, unofficial visits, et cetera, the ones that haven't committed anywhere, there are going to be many of them will be making commitments. So things are, as I put it, about to get live on the recruiting front for Ohio State.
Anthony Rogers. I think one of the interesting developments that's definitely taken place, well, actually, just since Carlos Lachlan took over, is that, boy, what a real different approach he has to recruiting than his predecessor, Bill. I cannot, and this is the statement, I can't tell you how many guys they've offered at running back, and I'd be hard pressed to just recite that list. With Tony Alford, I could always recite the list of running backs he had offered. It was not a long list. Can you kind of bring us up to speed on Rogers? Do they really want him? What your thoughts are on him? We'll run some tape of him. But then, generally speaking, how you think the running back situation is going to work out. And I kind of ask you this every week, and I guess I'm expecting you to change your answer at some point. But it just seems to me that if he really is locked in, Lachlan, no pun intended, on the guys we talked about, is it common for someone to offer another 15 guys after that? It's kind of staggering. Meanwhile, we'll bring Rogers up here. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, keep in mind, a number of those offers went out to 26 running backs, for instance. Okay. So the 2025 running backs, you've got Jordan Davison, I should say, from California, Bo Jackson from Ohio. Of course, we've talked about those two quite a bit. And then you've got Isaiah West, the former Kentucky commitment from Pennsylvania. Those are kind of the three that we've been focusing on. Then along comes the aforementioned Anthony Rogers, who Mark has queued up the video on right now. He's been committed to Alabama for a while, but Lachlan had already offered him a scholarship and then re-offered him a scholarship once he got to Ohio State. You've got Byron Lewis from Florida. He's making an official visit to Ohio State in June. He has long had an Ohio State offer, but Lachlan re-offered him, so he is in the mix. So, you've got all those guys that are in the mix for at least two, and if things work out the way Ohio State would like, 3 2025 running backs in the class. Now, that's not going to be easy to do, getting 3 running backs in one class. It's not always easy getting 2 in a class. And I should mention, they would still be interested in Marquise Davis from Cleveland Heights. They are still interested in him. Whether the interest is mutual right now, that's debatable. He is committed to Kentucky, but Ohio State and Michigan are both still hoping to take him away from Kentucky.
Mark, excuse me, as a fly comes in here. Your thoughts on Rodgers, as you watch him play here, for those who are watching, this is tape of his junior season at IMG. He has since transferred back to Alabama, I believe Carver High School. Mark, take it away.
Yeah, you're seeing a smaller back here. You see him listed at 185, and I'm wondering if he's bigger than what he's listed because he does look a little thick here in the legs and the lower body. But being an undersized back, and I say that because you want most of your backs to be 200, 210 pounds if they're the Big Ten bruisers. He's going to be your change of pace, maybe the Travion Henderson style here where you're seeing the jitterbug out of him, but you're seeing these home run plays at the beginning of his film, and we'll start it over here again, where he does have a few plays where he's shot out of guns. You know, he goes blowing through the secondary, and he does make a very sudden move or two that you wouldn't see out of bigger backs. So you kind of get that, you know, dual backfield feel out of a player like this where he's not going to be the guy, but he'll be one of the guys rotating in there as a change of pace. And you'll see a move here as a good example where he's just going to zip back across that kid. That's not a big back move. You're not going to see that out of a 210-pounder. So that's what you would get out of the change of pace here. But there's also some feistiness in this film where he's going to fight through some tackles and put his shoulder down and run with some heavy body lean. And that's going to help the power aspect of him being lighter. But I wouldn't expect him to be the guy you're going to give it to down at the goal line, but I'd be the guy that on 3rd down and 10 or something coming out of the backfield. And then Ohio State's offense has roles for players where they're the jet sweep guy, they're the guy lineup receiver in the slot, and they use the speed and the jitterbugging to make big plays and get in space. But, yeah, definitely more of a Travion Henderson type. But, I mean, and I shouldn't say that because he's got to be bigger and bigger over his career, but definitely change of pace style here.
Yeah, they do show a couple plays of him catching the ball out of the backfield, and I could see them using as almost like, here's a little, just a quick out. I mean, he does have the 0 to 60, let's be honest. This is, if you got a guy in space like that, very impressive. Bill, just to remind the people, you have crystal balls on several running backs.
I do. Bo Jackson I did early. He has been to Ohio State a lot of times, and early on in the recruiting process, he told me more than once how much he likes Ohio State. He's always been a guy that has had a strong interest in Ohio State. In fact, I could go back and he said he's told me before, I love Ohio State. Now, that was a while back. Since then he's continued to have a strong interest in Ohio State, but Georgia, for instance, he made a visit there the weekend of May 17th. It went very, very well. They are in the mix, and he's going to finish out his visits here, and one of them will be this weekend to Ohio State, and that gives the Buckeyes their chance. So, we'll see, but I crystal balled him early to Ohio State. I've also crystal balled Isaiah West, who was once committed to Kentucky to Ohio State. I continue to feel, when I made that pick, I felt great about it. And I continue to feel great about that pick. And if I'm not mistaken, I crystal balled Jordan Davison to Ohio State as well. But again, he's going to take his visit, so we'll see. And then, as we mentioned, if this visit goes well with Anthony Rodgers, and how many visits to Ohio State don't go well? There are not many. Then he'll come back for an official visit, and all bets would be off, so to speak, in that case. So Byron Lewis, he has liked Ohio State a lot ever since he made his first-time visit to Ohio State. He liked it a lot. He camped at Ohio State. He's been back. So a lot of real possibilities there, very real.
Marcus pointed out, Doug, flattery will get you everywhere. Mike Schaefer asks, who is the next Zeke? That's a lofty request. Zeke came here as almost a trackish-like guy. I remember Dontre Wilson's commitment almost pushed him off the scent, and then he developed into, in my opinion, the best back we've had in a long, long time. As good a college football running back as you can have, and I can tell you as a Cowboys fan, until he is back now, but he was as good as you get for the first few years. That's not a realistic request. We may not get a running back like that for some time. All right, there's a bunch of names on here.
I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be the next Zeke Elliott, you better know how to block.
No doubt.
I mean, he ferocious blocker. I used to enjoy watching him block almost as much as run the ball. He's just a complete back, and a lot of backs don't want to block. Not Zeke.
Yeah, when Zeke was picked very, very high in the draft, they had a whole package for the Cowboys fans. He did not miss a block his senior season. How about that? And he is, without question, the best blocking running back I've ever rooted for a team to have him. One of the reasons he's back in Dallas, as big of a reason as he is as a running back, it's that the quarterback feels very comfortable with Zeke there because he knows Zeke will stand and get clobbered. I mean, clobbered. A lot of those running backs, Mark, you know this, they do the good for tape block. Get up in there and kind of, oh, where's my help? And then we're sacked. None of that stuff. Zeke is initiating contact. Even though things have changed, not exactly the lead blocker stuff. All right, there are a bunch of, Doug, you got it right. Not many Zekes walking the earth. Most violent blocking running back I ever saw. Still doing that. Doesn't have the burst, but he's still willing to put his nose in there. Fine Buckeye. All right, we're going to do rapid fire on some questions, on some updates, Bill. And then Mark has some very cool video for you guys. As always, we show some highlight videos, but then we also usually bring you some exclusive stuff because Mark is never, ever home. Let's see here. Questions. John Gorby. Brandon Finney update. Bill, this is not a name we've heard a ton of. Can you please let everyone know who Brandon Finney is and where his recruitment stands with the Buckeyes?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. In fact, I just talked to him over the weekend. I think it was Saturday, actually. I was driving with my wife and one of my daughters to Pittsburgh for a 2-year-old, or I should say 3-year-old granddaughter birthday party. So my wife was driving at that point and talked to Brandon Finney while she was driving. He is he's a defensive back from Maryland, McDonough High School in Owings Mills. And he's about 6'2", 185. So he is a big corner. You know, he kind of fits the mold of Devin Sanchez and Naeem Offord in that he's got some length for a corner. He has official visits scheduled to Penn State, South Carolina, and then here's a big one, Dan, Georgia.
There you go.
And Oregon. That's a pretty good list of schools overall for official visits. And he tells me that he hasn't set it up yet, but he does plan to set up an official visit to Ohio State. You know, they did lose Blake Woodby. He decommitted. And Brandon Finney is a potential guy that could fit into that slot. So he's a good one.
We've got video up here of Brandon Finney from McDonough. That is a private school in the Baltimore Catholic League. Blake Woodby from St. Francis will probably be his peer there. Your thoughts, Mark, as you watch this?
Yeah, I mean, look, if he's playing defensive back, he is a long, tall drink of water defensive back there. But I like him a receiver. I mean, the length he just showed there and that little burst, I mean, he looks like he's like what a catch. I want to say like a CeeDee Lamb almost. I don't want to get too excited, but he's lanky and he looks like he's got burst in that lankiness with some room to get bigger and stronger. And here's what we're looking for him at corner. But yeah, broke on the ball right there before the ball was even thrown or came out of his break. Boy, in the open field, look at that stride. I mean, that really does look like a CeeDee Lamb or something out there. It would be hard pressed to see this kid at corner for very long.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, like he has the look of a receiver. I mean, the way he's sticking his hand out like that. Boy, I really like the raw athlete we're watching, and wherever side of the ball he ends up on, the upside of a player like this is off the charts. Yeah, he's really smooth.
They are recruiting him as a corner.
When he's out in the open field. That really, there's some NFL comparisons that are popping my head, not college. So Brian Hartline, has he seen this tape, or the defensive guys didn't send it over to the offensive staff?
Yeah,
he's a man.
It glitched.
And, you know, I hear funny stories like that where there's a player like this where the defensive staff sees the tape first, and they're like, "Do not let this tape get to the offensive staff. We're going to take him over here. Get rid of those offensive clips when we watch it as a group." So, yeah, hats off to this kid for being a special athlete.
Yeah, McDonough. Oh, that's just bad coverage. But McDonough plays a real schedule too. This is not, I don't want to use the Ohio Bellefontaine comparison, but you won't have an issue with that here. Yeah, they seems like they feature him a lot too. Very impressive. That's one of the fun things about doing this show, is every video we put on is another guy that I'm like, this guy, which is really fun. All right, Bill. We're going to start to hit the main ones here. Okay, actually, here's one here that I want to help out. What happened to Dubois, I think his name, the lineman from Alabama with Cleveland ties? I believe he's discussing Micah DeBose, Bill. Dubois and DeBose. Do you feel I'm right? And if so, can you tell me something about Micah DeBose?
I'm pretty sure you're right, Dan, that we're talking Micah DeBose there.
French.
He has an official visit scheduled to Ohio State. In fact, he's got 4 official visits scheduled. He will go to LSU this weekend. He also has Florida scheduled for June 7th, Ohio State June 14th, and Alabama June 21st. He is from Alabama. I think right now Alabama is the most likely place he ends up at, but he's got 4 official visits set, so we'll see what happens.
Micah DeBose, Bill, he was up here. I remember seeing pictures of him visiting. They've been recruiting him for quite some time. He does have Cleveland ties that are legit.
Yep. Born and raised for, I think it was 5 or 8 years. I forget to be exact, but born in Cleveland, Ohio. Came back to Cleveland in the summertime and also snuck in a visit to Ohio State at that point. And like I said, those Ohio ties could help, but I still think that the probably most likely spot right now will be Alabama.
Those of you playing at home can see the video. Mark, you want to help us out a little? I will say this. The kid on the beginning of the video has quit the game. The kid on the first block, he quit. He walked up, he stood up and was like, "This. No one told me Micah DeBose was going to be here. I'm out." Go ahead.
Yeah, he's already knocked one helmet off a player here. I love players that you see their body language on the tape, and you see his body language, and it's anger. It's just pure anger, pure violence. He's trying to not just block someone, he's trying to hurt them, destroy them. And I think that's a quality that shows up in college when you need to play at a level. Boy, he is violent and has some pop to him. And Dan, you said it a minute ago. We watch so many great players. It's just, one after another. You just sit there and ooh and ah over some of these guys. And I guess that's how you know you're on the right players or the future NFL guys. But, yeah, body style, I don't care about length. I don't care about. This is all about violence and aggression, and I love it.
Yeah, impact. That's one thing I look at, too. You can't fake that quick, like, little jolt. And he's basically concussing dudes on impact.
Yeah, the heavy hands, the violent hands, the shock he puts into people there. But you saw it on defense. He didn't try to tackle that guy. He tried to dent the turf by throwing his body into the turf. I mean, that's really – the body language of violence is all over this tape. I don't think you're going to have to be getting this kid fired up before a game. I think it's just naturally in there. And sometimes you can't wire players like this. You can tell them to finish. You want finishers, guys that keep blowing to the echo of the whistle. And the body language says, yeah, he's going to finish this kid. He's just not going to let him, play the game. And, if he is against a smaller player, he's violently throwing them to the ground.
He's also a hoops guy.
Nice.
In fact, Ryan Day and Justin Fry back in the wintertime were at one of his basketball games, and that left an impression on Micah. He and his coach both told me that afterwards, that the fact that those two coaches showed up to his basketball game. And talking about violence and all, the guy that immediately comes to mind, I'm going to go back a little bit, Wyatt Davis from St. John Bosco. I saw him in person play, and that kid was ferocious. I mean, as a high school player, he finished, and he didn't take any prisoners.
White had a great career here, went to the Vikings, made himself some money, so that was good stuff. I will say this. I had not watched DeBose's tape in a while. He has moved up the chart for me, that's for sure. Bill, what position do they like most high school offensive linemen? He spent a lot of time at left tackle. he's almost looks to me like a guard body. I could be wrong. Where do you see him? Where are they recruiting him as, and who do they have a kind of a mold of?
Well, originally, most of the schools, including Ohio State, were talking tackle. But I think now a number of the schools are also bringing up guard. I think it could be either one.
Yeah, he looks like a guard.
That's why I said I didn't care about body style or length there. He's just
Right.
a football player. Like it didn't bother me. He didn't have the 6'7" long arms or whatever. He's playing football.
Yeah, but those guys scream guard to me. Put him inside and let him just brawl all day. You know what I mean? He's not going to – he's also one of those guys that looks like he'll have the power to play inside earlier on in his career. I mean, he's the word I'm looking – it's like dense. We've watched a lot of linemen who are great athletes, like you said, Mark. This guy just looks like a bodyguard at a club or something. I'm serious, and I mean that in an absolutely good way. I can't say that any better. All right, Bill.
If you're in an alley, you want this guy with you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is one of those guys that, walking through an alley at night, I'd feel comfortable.
Let's be honest. I'll take any Buckeye to help me out in an alley. I'm no brawler, but he'd top out the list. David Sanders Jr., best offensive lineman in the country. Most people think. The ranking services do. You saw Mark's face there. You want to talk about Tyron Smith reincarnated, possibly. Bill, what is the latest? Does he have an official date set for his commitment? What are the chances we're going to be talking about David Sanders until pen goes to paper?
Well, no. As far as I know, he has not said any exact date he's going to make his decision, but I do think I would be very surprised, shocked if he doesn't go through with his official visit plan. And as things stand right now, as you know, there's unlimited official visits now. But as things go right now, his last official visit is to Ohio State. It's June 21st to 23rd. He can always decide to make an official visit during the season or whatever, but that's right now his last official visit to Ohio State. I tend to still like Ohio State's chances. Since we talked last, he hasn't made any official visits elsewhere. So I continue to tend to like Ohio State's chances right now. I, again, emphasize right now, he's got a whole bunch of visits to go, including Clemson this weekend. That will be huge. That's been a school that's always been a top school for him. So that's going to be a huge visit for him this weekend. And then he's got Georgia after that, and he's got Alabama to go, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be
the Ravens. Gonna go visit the Ravens. The Cowboys are having him, man, and just saying, dude, you don't have to go to college. Come sit here on the couch for 2 years and you are golden. I'm not even kidding. God knows I'm not saying David Sanders should leave school and not play football. I don't want to get a Jameer Brown hate fest going on me again. I'm just saying it in jest in order to get across how wonderful he is, because he is spectacular. I don't know if you guys remember this when Edric Houston officially committed to Ohio State. Ryan Day was on the stage talking to the media and gave out kind of like his legs almost gave out of relief. I'd like a camera on Justin Fry when David Sanders makes his commitment. And if he commits to Ohio State, champagne spraying on himself and his body and stuff like that, because that would change everything at Ohio State for him in terms of PR value. Because this dude is the truth. All right. Micah DeBose,
I almost don't want Bill to get people excited about him because the letdown could be so great if you don't get him. I mean, that really is every year there's 4 or 5 players that you're like, oh, get these type of guys and life gets easier, and you just hate when they go somewhere else. And this is candidate for that.
Yeah,
that's
again,
fair.
I would not be putting any crystal balls on picks on him right now. Again, there's a ways to go in this one, and these visits, in the end, I think are going to tell the tale.
Ohio State's done some incredible things in recruiting recently. Jeremiah Smith, getting Edric Houston out of Buford, et cetera. So,
if they get him, it would remind me a lot of the Caleb Downs situation, where they somehow managed to pull him out. and get that one. This would be along those lines to me if they're able to get David Sanders.
Doug, don't I know it? Half the comments we get here are for bad jokes I make. I can't help it. These guys just bring out the best in me. I'm just kidding. All right, Mark, get us rolling here. Explain to us what we're seeing and why we're seeing it.
Well, we're going to watch a bunch of offense and defensive linemen. And I feel bad for these offense and defensive linemen right now because we just watched David Sanders and some other guys. So they're not going to compare to that, but they're some of the best in Ohio. What we're doing is we're watching the Lineman Lab by T3 Performance. What this is Dale Roddick's been running this. We went there last year. He
Where
had
is
an offense. Yeah, it's up in Avon Lake, Ohio, an offensive versus defensive lineman camp. I went there to discover some young guys, and I did. I'm going to show you who they are, but there's a couple other guys in this tape we probably need to recognize. Glenville graduated a lot of people, and John L. George was a speed rusher that he is just making kids look stupid in this video where he's running right by him left and right. Of course, let's not read into this too much. They are in shorts, but, he's going to be a guy that for Glenville could be one of those late names. And, you're looking for a guy that could come to an Ohio State camp. If he does this at an Ohio State camp, he's moving straight up the board because I don't think anybody blocked him all day. The next guy we're going to look at is Robert Smith from Villa Angela, St. Joseph. Talk about a guard inside with some long arms. Yeah, he really has a body. He sits down really well. He moves really well. He really did a good job of stonewalling some of the best pass rushers in the camp they put against him. He's a guy that his stock moved up. And then as we get into these younger guys here, and that's him at defensive tackle going by.
I was going to say, wow.
Yeah. Now, what's really exciting is freshman, class of 2027, Mason Wilt from St. Clairsville. He just looks like a caveman. He's just taking people on with his chest and stonewalling them. And, boy, for such a young kid, some of you guys will remember Avery Henry from St. Clairsville. Yeah, just like that. Now, Jack Marquand, another freshman from St. Edwards, if you remember the line at St. Edwards, they had 5 D1 kids starting last year. This kid's been waiting in the wings, but, boy, is he athletic. He'll be a kid that we're going to be talking about for the next couple of years. Great footwork. Looks like he's already tuned up. DeAndre Taylor is a defensive tackle in the class of 2026. Next year, I think when Ohio State starts looking ahead, you saw that swim move and the quickness there. He did a good job of getting by some of the better linemen, I thought, in the camp. And we'll look at maybe one or two more guys. I probably have about 20 listed here, and we're not going to totally geek out on the Bucknutters, but there's another spin move where, and then another freshman. As you can see, I like the young guys down there in Grove City. That's some quickness and speed for a freshman. So, when we get into this is what we do for you at Bucknuts. We kind of give you these names early, and we don't know which one yet will be the Buckeye or the Buckeye offer, but, there's some guys out there, Braylon Jesse from St. Joe's. Very good camp every year I go to up there, so good job by Dale Roddick running that. And, Bill, that probably gave you some names to check out when you're going to start making phone calls this week.
Don't forget, one of those names we showed everybody early was a guy named Tavian St. Clair, and that's tended to work out great. The kid from St. Clairsville, I digress slightly. He looks like a senior as a freshman. That when I was growing up in D.C., the drinking age my freshman year was 18. That kid would have been the freshman buddy we would have sent into the liquor store to buy the beer because he looks like he's 23 years old. Full-grown dude. All right, let's see if we there's some questions lingering here, and then we'll get out of here. Spider Sillery, one of our best, just did a 5-mile run, enjoying the weather. I don't even know if he's in Ohio. Did you guys talk about Justin Hill? We always do. You guys want to weigh in there, Bill? Thoughts?
Well,
is he on the visit list?
Yeah, he obviously is on the visit list, and nothing has really changed since last time on Justin Hill. He is going to visit Ohio State, but he's going to take his other visits, and he's we know he's one of the guys we know when he is going to announce. He will be announcing on July 3rd. Why? Because that's his birthday. I still tend to like Ohio State's chances there.
Who else is in the mix, Bill? Who scares you?
I haven't put a crystal ball pick on him yet. I say yet. I don't know if I will end up, but I haven't put a crystal ball pick on him. But if I had to make one, I would pick Ohio State right now. He has Ohio State as an official visit. this weekend, as a matter of fact. These other schools are Alabama, Oregon, and USC. USC is June 7th, his official visit. He's got Alabama June 14th, and then Oregon June 21st. So Ohio State gets the proverbial first shot, and Oregon gets the last shot, and he'll make his announcement on July 3rd.
Mark, we'll finish with this, but you've always kind of been a Justin Hill fan. Where do you see him being best utilized?
That backside defensive end where he's rushing you one play and then dropping out in coverage the next play, where he can kind of confuse the coverage. Jim Knowles with the three safeties, having a piece of the puzzle like that just adds more confusion to what these guys can do, because when he can drop back and cover, you as an offensive guy who's calling plays, you have to worry about that. If he's a pass rusher, you have to worry about that. When he's both, your schemes really get messed up. You can't cheat and you can't slide certain ways. But Justin Hill might be one of the top couple players in the class this year in my book. I think he is one of those must-get guys. And, again, I hate to get excited about these guys if we don't get them, but I think the arrows are all leaning in the right direction.
Yeah, and I'll finish with this. He was ranked, I think, in the high 150s. And the latest update, he moved up to number 60. My guess is he's going to finish. I don't think he'll finish in the top 32, the way they do the 5 stars, but he will be somewhere between 32 and 50 when all is said and done. And hopefully he will be wearing scarlet and gray as well. We appreciate these guys stopping by. Hopefully that show satisfied your recruiting itch for the day. We'll be back on Thursday. Have a good one, Bucknutters.